Hello. Good evening, guys. My introduction actually was a little bit, I can say, too high, because my topic today will be about website development for the crowdfunding campaign, which is one of the components of successful campaign, and I hope it will be very helpful for you. Before we start, probably a little bit about myself, why I'm here. Actually, I'm a guy in a web business and web development business since 90s. I started as a web designer in 96, and I always like to joke that yes, in that times also I had a couple of websites. An example, one of the first websites I had opportunity to work with was the first version of Apollo portal, and in these times, launch of some kind of portal was so important that actually basic design was created by the Beit Sachi London, and we had only opportunity to adapt something which was created not here. And also, I was very actually pleased when I saw some publication in Geek Times stating that we have a couple of successful startups, probably something like 10, and we had opportunity to work very closely with 3 of them, which I'm very happy with. And also, probably you know the such product as Labs of Latvia, and I'm very proud of it, and all of Labs of Latvia team, and I'm one of the key guys who are behind this concept and creation of that. A little bit about Aurum, who we are. I don't know how to talk actually not to create this sound, but I'll try to do it somehow. Okay, a little bit some words about Aurum, who we are. Yeah, let's exchange that, because it... Hello. Okay. I will try to switch it off. I don't know how. Thanks a lot. Perfect. So, a couple of words about Aurum IT, who we are. We like to call ourselves master creators of the website. So we are working with many businesses, mostly with the e-commerce, larger portals for Latvia, and so on and so on. So we are full stack developers, designers, I very much like this slide. So actually, it summarizes something up we did from year 2000. So we have like 50 years in the market, more than 500 projects in 15 countries. About crowdfunding campaigns, which is today's topic, actually we have huge experience. It's a joke for Latvia. We had the opportunity to work with 2 campaigns, and probably, I don't know, maybe it places us somewhere in terms of experience. So we are those guys who work very closely with Erdog since day one, I think, and we was a part of their team in many stages of this company development. I think you pretty much know the campaign, and they have huge media buzz around it and so on. So to summarize up both campaigns, one from Latvia, one from Finland, and one, okay, it's that or something. Okay, thanks. And one from Latvia, one from Finland, one in Kickstarter, and the second one in Indiegogo. The Erdog was fixed funding campaign, and Puzzle Phone in Finland was flexible funding. I can say that both have their own success, and our part there was to work very closely with both companies to deliver successful web solutions. My introduction part is over, and let's move to the 3 main topics I will talk today. So one of the topics is critical components of your campaign, who they are. The second topic is campaign stages in your website. And the third is like rule of thumb. These are 20 main things which you must take in mind when you develop any website, and especially website for the crowdfunding campaign. Let's move on. So, the first actually point, these are, I think, 5 major points. And the first one actually is a little bit esoteric one. So, you need to have ambition, courage, and commitment. So, let's think too about it, because you will need courage, because probably you are in the early stage, probably you are launching some idea and you don't know how market will evaluate it. So you think that your idea will, whole world will like your idea, but you certainly don't know. And this is the point where actually crowd will show, and so on. And also, I think one of the most important factors is commitment. When you are launching a crowdfunding campaign, prepare yourself that you will not sleep for 2 weeks, probably 1 month, and so on and so on. It requires very hard work, and many things I will talk later in my presentation. And and the second part is know-how and experience. And this is also the question every one of you can ask to yourselves. Are you jacks of all trades? Do you know everything about web development, web marketing, web PR, and every other aspect in a campaign? Or do you need any help from your friends, for the companies who can support you, and so on and so on? And the third, actually, is rule of thumb also for any successful startup is right team. You can have right team inside your company. You can have right team who can develop your product. But the main question is, do you have right team who can develop for you successful crowdfunding campaign? And fourth, and super important, you need to have very clear game plan from day one. And most probably with a couple of versions, what you can do in one scenario, what you can do in second scenario, and so on and so on. And also, what you need is readiness to iterate and change things fast, because things will change in your campaign. You will need to change your website, you will need to change your messaging, you will need to critically review certain results in certain stages, and so on. So these are, in my opinion, 5 most important points and critical components of the success. So, let's move a little bit deeper into team. What will you need to have as your team, and what competencies you will need to have? It's like something without these components you most likely will fail. The first, you need your internal team. These guys are yourselves. These guys are you. So this is your company, it's your product, it's your market knowledge, and actually you can't outsource successful campaign. So actually you as a team is probably the most critical factor. So prepare yourself, and everything you learned before, you will need to use into the campaign. And the second, team, and it depends. You do it in-house or you outsource these things, is web marketing and PR. So this is specific discipline, and also you can ask the critical question for your company, which way you would like to go. Do you want to create anything from the scratch inside your team, inside your product team, or probably you will need some help outside. And the third component is partners, sponsors, and friends. And actually, never underestimate this thing, actually, because your partners, your sponsors, and your friends, these will be those guys who probably will be the most involved since day one. This is your team who will support you. This is your team who will give you free advice. This is the team probably who can help you at certain stages of the campaign. Never underestimate these guys. And the fourth is the team, actually, which I represent. These are guys who are able to do web design and development. Let's talk about campaign stages and their website. So, in my practice, actually, so one of the most common errors in people's thinking, in product team thinking, is like that. So we will create something. We will probably update some content, across the campaign, and that's it. So, and it's a successful website. Certainly it's not. So in my opinion, for a successful crowdfunding campaign, and after that, you need to have at least 4 stages. And these are actually our experience from the AirDev campaign and from the campaign of the puzzle phone, how we reached some results. The first version, actually, of your website is your current version. Think carefully about what you have right now for your startup. How it's created, what messages it uses, what critical components your website have, and so on and so on. And if you do not have one, start to build it now. Because actually it's your first version, the first version you will start your crowdfunding campaign if you going for such financing model. And second stage, and I will talk a little bit deeper about each of these stages. And second stage is pre-campaign website, which is something you will need to have before final decision. You will go for the crowdfunding or not. Actually, talking about website and the stage, this is the last stage when you can change your game plan. Nobody will kill you if you will say, okay guys, we changed our strategy and probably we are going for other financing model. And the next stage is campaign website, which is something we call hard launch. This is your campaign website and updates in a campaign period. And the fourth and the last is post-campaign website. Actually, think through it. If your campaign is success, there's no way you are leaving it in design and in the layout and in the copyright how it was in the campaign's period. You will need to change things, and I will talk about it. And just final one, the last is maturity stage. And this is the stage when you fulfilled your founder's dreams. You shipped your products, everything's fine, campaign was a success, promises are kept, and you need to work on your business model in a way how you planned this from the day one. Let's talk about the stages a little bit more, and what I will tell you this evening will not be some kind of holy grail of how your website should look and which blocks in which order it should have, and use red color and it's successful color, or don't use red color, it's not successful color, and things like that. It's bullshit. Every product is unique. Your business is unique. Your business model is unique. You are unique yourselves. And there are certain things which is working. And these certain things are critical components. And let's talk about them. And when you see like these circles, it's like my trying to emphasize things and say, okay, this is really big, and this probably can be a little bit smaller in terms of design or in the terms of messaging and things like that. So, your product website, it's your website right now. Critical components is key messages. Also, I'm always trying to be very practical here. What is your primary message to the market? What is your secondary message if you have certain messages, if you have certain product versions or certain messages across what you do and so on. Also benefits and features. I especially put it vice versa because in my practice too many people are trying to explain features of their product and so on and so on. Don't explain your features, explain how you will solve my problem, how you will change the world. So this is a very critical component, and how you do it in terms of blocks, in terms of design, in terms of copyright, it's your product and it's your business. It can differ. And also your story and your team is super important, because when you are moving to the next step, to the crowdfunding campaign, so your story and your team probably will be those things who someone will buy. Without them, most likely you will not succeed. Nobody just will believe you. And also contacts and social media links, like standard things. Let's move on. So, pre-campaign website. And this is something you need to have. And then let's talk about the focus. here. So what is the focus in 7 stages? Actually, remember my idea, decision has not been made yet. You probably can change your financing model here. Most important things here actually is email database and supporters acquisition. These are 2 different things. Email database not necessarily is your supporters, and they can be. So what you need to do here actually is to gather as possible as supporters for your campaign in the first day. Actually, create your email subscription. Also talk about your mom, talk about your family, about what you are doing, talk about your closest circle, talk about your potential partners, talk about your taxi driver, talk with anyone. So actually, any people can help, and especially people with specific knowledge. And also the same benefits and features: story, your team, your contacts, social media links, and so on. But most important here is subscription and acquiring your first campaign days partners and supporters. Let's move on. So this is something actually probably most of you imagined like your website, but it's also it's actually version 3, and it's different version from the pre-campaign website. So what you will need to have actually, and let's talk about emphasizing things and again critical components. So what you need to have, your focus is very simple. You need to reach your campaign's goal. So if you will reach campaign's goal in terms of financing, nobody will bite you in the leg. Everyone will say, oh, super, you have success. You have successful financing, you reached your goal. If you will not reach your goal, probably your business will not succeed, and so on and so on. So what you need to have here actually is campaign information and also call to action to that. So you need to have your story, and also we always recommend to add also the timeline, how you will fulfill these promises you are telling in a period of campaign. Also remember that one of the most important, probably the most important at all factor for the success or failure is buzz in campaigns period. So think about how you create it, think about how you are telling about the media coverage you probably have in a campaign, and so on and so on. And also don't underestimate 2 things. Don't underestimate media information. You need to have as much media coverage as you can have, because it's traffic, because it's inbound links, it's your success or your failure. And also don't forget about feedback, because buying decision doesn't work this way that someone goes to your website and buys your idea and buys your crowdfinancing product. It probably not will be so simple. There will be some probably less believers who will ask you questions, and so on and so on. And talking about hard work and these 2 weeks and especially first days of campaign, prepare your team that you will have to provide enormous amount of feedback. Think about tools, ways, how to optimize that, how to do it, how to answer any question, how to provide support, how to answer questions, and also take people on board who can do it. So, applause. You have your success. Everyone's happy. You are probably one of the most successful startups in Latvia, and so on and so on. And then you reach the last stage. So what you will need to have and what is critical components after the financing and after your success and after you very optimistic about your future business. So the critical components here is your story and timeline. It stays. Also critical component is feedback, because most of the crowdfunding campaigns do not fulfill their promises, at least in terms of timeline. So prepare yourself that you will need to have in a certain period of time. Okay, guys, we promise that we will ship something in I don't know, half a year, but actually a year goes around and where we are. So, and also think about feedback. So, and about in terms of feedback, actually, what you need to think here in terms of information and critical components of this information is how you provide feedback to your founders, which are your supporters. This is probably the most important thing. And the last, actually, and it's, I would like to say, for my experience, it's most underestimated, and it's wrong, thing is pre-orders. Your campaign is finished, but it doesn't mean that you can't generate sales. You can generate sales for the second batches, third batches, fourth batches, and so on. So what I'm saying here is that you can sell after your campaign success before you delivered something to your crowdfunders, and so on and so on. It's possible, and also think about it as one of the critical components after your successful campaign. You need to sell, and probably you do not have your product ready, but you still have opportunity to do that. So that's it. And again, like I said, fifth stage, like a maturity, can be next promises kept, and let's move on. And very fast, and about rule of thumb. And I will talk about 20 things which, in my opinion, from my experience since 90s, working for every website, and especially in the crowdfunding website. So what is these things you need to have? And if you do not have them, probably you have wrong website. You have unquality websites. You've done something wrong, and it can bite you back. These critical things are keyword research. Actually, you should do it. Actually, and many thanks to Davis, which actually mentioned from the jogging group product that they started with these things in a day one. So this is the thing for your campaign's website and your website for your product. You need to have it from the day one. Do your homework, do your keyword research. Look how your what keywords your competitors using. Use specialized tools. If you do not have this experience yourself, ask SEO guys how to do it. Hire agency for that. This is probably the thing which is super critical from day one. Also, focus on SEO for your copyright. So I'm not telling that you need to have, I don't know, wrong not quality copyright, but focus on SEO. It's super important. Okay. Okay, I can move on without the presentation, I guess.
You can do the others off the top of your head, right?
Okay, let's wait for the screen. Okay, thanks a lot. And actually, today was the client, and we talked about topic 3, and it's also again your copyright. What is actually maybe someone who is very brave and know these things. Maybe someone can tell me what is exceptionally structured content. Any brave people? Well, something like that. Actually, it's a little bit simpler. If you take any content and if you can create table of contents from that, probably it's something in a way which goes to exceptionally created content. So when you think about design of your copy, think about structuring, like titles, subtitles, descriptions, first things go first, and so on and so on. These are basic things, rules of thumb, but I don't know why people, in most of the cases, just forgot about them when creating website. And also, it's social media. You should, I guess nobody talks about you should use social media or not to use, but just do not forget use your social media presence for the both things, for engagement and for SEO. It can be successfully done in both ways. And also like basic technical things like human readable URLs. You can do it manually. Thanks a lot. And also like meta tags, meaning title and description for your pages, like sitemaps, internal links, URL redirects across the site versions, off-page, and probably this is the point I would like to emphasize, that it doesn't will help you so much if you will do only on-site optimization. Off-page SEO is must, nothing's changed. Much changed and nothing changed since 90s, actually. Do you know what first impression is? So when I came to this stage this evening, I asked someone who do not know me, tried to have one. Actually, also, it's like very basic things. So the first impression means that till the 10th second, actually, you will need to say who you are, what industry you represent, what industry your website represents. Do you present quality? Do you have right imaging? Do you have right logo? Again, and also quality is the thing. Positioning of things is very important, and so on and so on. This is very interesting topic, which actually can be covered across 1 hour, but it's very important for you. And last and the next thing is one, and I think it's also very important, it's consistency. It's also affects like text structuring, which I mentioned before, but consistency in your design should be on your website. Also, the realism is very important. Also, a couple of words probably you know, and I would like to explain actually what I mean with the word realism. So I'm always like to use some very simple comparisons. Imagine two guys who are selling tires. I hope a couple of you at least have possibility to imagine that in your mind. And then imagine that these guys actually selling tires, and they have like something from the stock where two important guys staying somewhere near the skyscraper and still selling the tires. It's like this sounds very simple, but think about it, how real are imaging you are using on your website and how unique it is. And also you need to have very clear signals. This is the thing, guys. This is the thing actually which is very much covered for the UX design. So do you need to have red buttons, or do you need to have all things like that, which gives these signals about form and function? And probably the thing which is creates most of the buzz across the web developers community right now is accessibility. And accessibility in the two ways. So one thing is screens, mobile versions, tablet versions, desktop versions, and so on, and also compliance with the standards. And 5 last things. So you need to have clear messages. This is something I mentioned, like also like critical component for the certain version of the campaign. And also you need to have content value. Your content must be unique. And also you need to have understandability. And also referring back to the Davis who recommended to use external copywriting for the English text, I would highly recommend also to do that, because just understandability and language and wording used. And also you need to have trust. And these two things I would like to cover a little bit more. So probably you know how to generate trust, I guess. So there's some certain tricks about it. And if you have experience in the e-commerce field, you noted that most of the checkout pages have Visa and MasterCard logo. Do you ever ask your question why? because you have possibility to do the checkout without the Visa and MasterCard logo or whatsoever. The thing is actually that it generates trust, because probably your logo, your startup, your business is not as trustful as your potential partners. And in terms of payments, it's using very widely. And when I talked about certain website stages and certain stages of your campaign, think critically about which partners you have. Probably you need to have bigger partners than you, more trustful partners than you. You need to have Visa, MasterCard. You need to have anything which is more trustful, more recognizable, and so on and so on. It's super important. And also, if you have experience with the brand building and sociology things, you probably know that if some brand is recognizable, it's also, in most of the cases, associated with the trust more like something which is not recognizable. And the last thing is, it's actually the question which I always ask to salespeople. What is the major thing that salespeople should do? It's very simple. You should close the deal. It doesn't matter, actually, that you created a successful campaign website, which is very, very good, have neat design, and everyone likes it. And your family likes it, your business partners likes it, and everyone's happy about it. So what you need to do is close the deal. Think critically about how you're doing it, how you're converting your audience in every step of your website. And this is rule of thumb for any marketing site, and also, like, I think it's super important and probably the major and most forgotten factor for crowdfunding campaigns too. Close the deal. Thanks a lot. I know that it's actually very tricky to ask questions when someone asks you, like, "Oh, do you have questions?" Probably you do not have them now. If you have them now, please ask. If you do not have them now, please come and find me. I will be here, I guess, from some couple of, probably 1.5 or maybe 1 hour. I would like to answer these questions privately if do you have. And also you can see my email and Skype and Twitter and so on, and just contact me and ask. Thanks a lot, guys.
Any questions? No?
Thank you, Mairis.